So a while ago, my parents and I went to Greece. And since we were in Greece, we naturally had to visit the Corfu Museum of Asian Art, where I saw something that has been on my mind ever since. This moustached Buddha. And yes, I was in the museum and I could have read the explanation of why is he like that. But who does that? So I was just like, oh, how peculiar. If only there was an explanation of why that is. So today I decided to correct my mistake and go on a little adventure to understand why was he looking like that? What happened with him? Since when did he grow a stash? And you are welcome to join me on this adventure. So, in order to understand where it all began, we should start with the creation of the world. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, if you know how I do research, once I had a presentation type thing and I had to compare Dutch and Afrikaans, and I watched the video about the whole history of the world, so that I'm sure I'm not missing any context. But you're lucky. Today we're not gonna take the whole history of the world. We're only going back like 7th century BC. Okay, so what do I want to do in the 7th century BC? Well, I want to check those people, the Medes, that lived in a particular area. And I'm more interested in the area than the Medes right now, although I'm sure they were fascinating people. But okay, so I'm interested in this particular region called Bactria. So the Medes lived there, and they were doing great stuff until the Persians came along and they got hold of that area. And now Bactria was a little bit of a harsh land, and the Persians had this little habit of sending all their problematic Greeks, like deporting them there. And so they kind of established a little bit of a Greek community there, a very free-willed Greek community, because if you can survive this type of harsh environment, you're not scared of a little bit of a centralized power. And then, after the Persians, it was time for, well, Alexander the Great. He looted a lot of places, he got a hold of a lot of land, and he reached Bactria. And so his people established themselves there too. And now that's 2 types of Greek communities there, at the least, you know. And if you look at where Bactria is, you're gonna notice that it's quite close to India. Oh yeah, they mingled. Oh, of course they did. And this was especially thanks to the fact that the Greeks kinda led campaigns into India, and they conquered the areas of Gandhara and western Punjab. Now, Gandhara is very important. Remember that name. It is important because this is the region where the Indians and the Greeks first decided to team up together and create art. And by art, I absolutely mean the statues of Buddha wearing a mustache. The tiny little bit of historical context you need is that Buddhism started, let's say, in the 5th century BC. Give or take, you know, in the BC times, things are very approximate. And the time period we are covering is around the 2nd century BC to the 1st, 2nd century AD. So you know, it's been a while since Buddhism came to be. And that's important because it's gonna give us insight on a little bit of an academic drama. Okay, so what's the drama? Well, back in the day when Buddhism first spread to the people, it is believed by some scholars that Buddhism was Aniconic. Well, what does that mean? It kind of sounds like an anime thing. It's not an anime thing. Okay, so it means that Buddha wasn't worshipped through his image. Like, people weren't portraying him as a human. No, they were kind of just portraying the idea of him. Let's say through his footprints, or through the Dharma wheel, or through a horse that didn't have a rider, or through the Bodhi tree and some others. But case in point, he wasn't there in the picture. And that's thought to be because of different reasons. Like, one of the theories is that, well, Buddha prohibited it himself. He was like, hey, don't worship me, okay? Don't worship my image, that's not appropriate. Other people say, well, here is Nirvana, so he's not here with us anymore. Of course, we're not gonna portray him. But then time passed, and you know, like, sometimes I forget what I ate for breakfast, and it's been centuries. So people kind of forget this kind of stuff. And the Indo-Greeks, the ones who mingled in Gandhara, started creating images of Buddha that were kind of reminiscent of the Greek gods. And so, the Greeks possibly contributed to the first portrayals of Buddha as a full-fledged person, human. But not everybody agrees with that theory. Here's where the drama comes from. Mr. Ananta Kumaraswamy was like, listen, no, we don't need no Greeks to start making our human-looking Buddha. No. If you would actually look over there, a different school of art that started developing during the same time as the Indo-Greek art, you would see that they were portraying Buddha in an anthropomorphic form. At the same time, the Indo-Greeks were doing their thing. So that's some food for thought. Maybe the Greeks didn't give us everything, And I'm telling you all that so that you know that there are different perspectives out there. And honestly, if there is one opinion, there is definitely an opposite of that opinion. That's just the world. It's yin and yang world, But that's besides the point, because even though I really appreciate the school of art that Mr. Ananda Kumaraswamy is talking about, they don't have a starched Buddha. And so I'm not going after them. I want to see why the Indo-Greeks had starched Buddha. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a lineup of 3 deities, and you tell me, how are you gonna recognize who is Buddha amongst them? Alright, so it's relatively simple. We're gonna look up the signs that make him recognizably Greek and the signs that make him recognizably Indian. We're gonna start with the elongated ears. Do you know why Buddha's ears are elongated? There are different theories out there. Some say that they represent his wisdom and compassion. They say that he hears the cries of all the world and responds accordingly. But I was interested in the little bit more historical, practical, possible reason. And I'm not saying that's clear-cut the answer, but it is quite possible that since he was a royalty before his life of enlightenment, he had those earrings that stretch out your ear. And that's why his ears got elongated. And what's kind of a wholesome interpretation is that now that he's removed them because he has turned away from the life of riches and jewelry, those holes remain as a reminder of what he was and how far he's come. And there are several more interpretations. You can believe in whatever you want, but I found those 2 really cute. Alright, another Indian influence. Can you spot it? Look at his hands. Look. What are his hands doing? Yeah, well, they're doing, quite possibly, even though one of his hands is missing, a fear not mudra. Now, those are gestures with a special significance, and they're very important for Hindu and Buddhist culture. Alright, what else? Okay, now look at his face. Alright, right in between his eyebrows. What's that? It's a dot? Is it a dot? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't know that. That's crazy. So, apparently in texts, it's described as a little whirl of hair. Yeah, one of the recognizable features of the Buddha. But it is represented through a dot. So yeah, I don't know, would it have been more fun if it was like really hairy? I don't know. Well, I guess a dot is more simplistic. Well, it's not called a dot though. It's actually called urna, and apparently it's an auspicious sign of nobility. Another distinct feature is like the top knot on his head. Like, look at it. Look at the other deities. Look at him. Yeah, it's a little bit characteristic of him, right? It is considered to be, like a crown made out of hair, and it's something that members of the royal family in Hindu kingdoms would wear. Now though, what makes him distinctly Greek in his appearance? Well, do you see his nose? It is said that it's kinda modeled after the nose of the Greek god Apollo. And also the full lips. They say that those are distinctly Greek full lips. I'm a little bit envious. Like, just a little bit. And the eyes, the almond-shaped eyes, as well as his luscious wavy hair, apparently also modeled after Apollo. And honestly, like, Apollo needs to give me his hair routine because I'm trying to get there. And as for the cloth, you can see in some depictions that it kind of looks like a Buddhist robe, but the drapery is very reminiscent of those of the Greek gods. Another Greek influence could be found in the very well-defined musculature of the Buddha in this particular depiction, and the way he's standing up, like his pose, the posture. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the mustache now. Actually, it wasn't so easy to research the mustache because some people said, well, the mustache was a distinctly Greek feature, so that's why it is here. And I was like, oh, is that so? Well, let me look up Greek statues, and they don't have that type of specific mustache. Yeah, they do, but they seem to put more emphasis on the beards. They're like, oh, look at this luscious Zeus beard. But they're not like, yeah, mustaches are awesome. And yeah, some statues do have stashes, but they are usually in a combination with a beard. Maybe I'm missing out a niche of statues that have only mustaches that are not from Gandhara, but I couldn't see them. So I was like, yeah, that's a possible theory, but there must be something else to it. And there is another theory. Okay, so the explanation is that possibly during that time, that was kind of the fashion of people just styling their mustaches like that. So it is possible that this was the trend and it was just portrayed onto the Buddha. So in conclusion about the mustache, I can personally see it as something Indian as well, because, you know, India is kind of famous for their mustaches. But then again, that's something kind of recent relative to, let's say, 1st century BC. I don't personally have enough evidence from that time period to be sure how people look back then. And so I can't say definitively, oh, the mustache was a Greek feature, or oh, the mustache was an Indian feature. And I feel like for now it will remain a little bit of a mystery, like a mustache mystery. But definitely if I read any updates, I'll make sure to mention them here so that we can unravel the mystery together. And that's pretty much it. I will just sprinkle a few more facts for the ones who care. In some reliefs, there would be Buddha, and he would be protected by figures important for Greek mythology, like Heracles. Or he would have like a figure of a Greek person who's distinctly Greek by the get that. I didn't know that. That's so cool. By the fact that they're holding this like funnel thing filled with fruit. In one of the museums we were at with my parents, I did see one Greek statue with like somebody holding a funnel of fruit, and I just took a picture of it because it's so aesthetic. I don't know, like, let's bring back funnels with fruit. Maybe some people do it. I should make myself a funnel with fruit. It looks so cool. But yeah, all that I told you today is just the signs of cross-cultural exchange that you can find in this particular type of statues of Buddha. But during that time period, the Greek and the Indians influenced each other in many other architectural aspects, and even as far as their coins, like the way their coins looked. But I was really after the mustache of Buddha. I really wanted to know what's that about, so I'm not focusing on other aspects in today's video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you found it, if nothing, at least a little bit entertaining, like a little bit of a fun fact. And if you happen to walk into a museum and see somebody who looks like Buddha but has a mustache, then I hope you remember that it is a testament of what beautiful things people can create when two cultures collide. Okay, well, alright, that's officially it for this video. I hope you had fun, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye!